Hi there, greetings and salutations. My name is Jake Query. Apparently the charitably less sexy of the two here. This is Derek Schultz.
Yes, I forgot. I won the poll.
Come on.
I won.
That was so biased.
Victory.
Yeah, okay, right.
There were like 300 votes in that poll.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. That was a stolen election, and we know that. It was rigged from the get-go.
'Tis the season.
It basically said, vote for this person.
Sexiest person poll conducted by April, who is completely impartial.
Completely impartial. She admitted her bias.
She leans towards me. Yeah. She leans towards me.
April knows of this program because of me.
But I'm
And
so
then-
excited to have won, and to thank you for your votes.
How many times did you vote?
I appreciate it. Huh?
How many times did you vote?
0 times.
Yeah, right.
0 times.
Okay.
I didn't vote at all. What do you think? I'm voting for myself?
Yes.
Come on. Nah. I didn't have to do that. I knew. I saw the results as they were going through. Somebody else had posted. I think it was Greg Poley or somebody. One of our other listeners had posted. So I knew that I had a insurmountable.
What did it end up, 55-45?
Yeah, actually, it ticked up a bit at the end. There was a late push by Schultz backers or appreciators. 57-43, I think it ended up being. Yeah, so it was a runaway.
Yeah, okay.
It was a runaway. It was almost 2-1.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to lie to you. This poll might have erroneously claimed that I'm the less sexy of the two of us, but I'm now old enough, smart enough, good-looking enough, and confident enough to say I've done okay.
I think we're both extremely good-looking guys.
You have to grade it on
in
the
the
curve.
most humble way possible.
You have to grade it on the curve because I'm like 15 years older than you, right? So if you are looking like this when you are my age,
we're giving you old man.
Yes,
Is that what we're giving you?
Yes,
All right.
It gets harder, Derek.
Buddy, whatever helps you sleep at night, pal. So you can justify
it. It actually gets more difficult.
However else you want.
I should.
We're 10 years apart, by the way, not 15. I know people think you might be 15 years older than me because you look significantly older.
I don't remember when did you
older.
turn 40? I don't remember because I wasn't invited.
Last year, 23.
So you're how old right now?
41.
Okay, I'm 52, so we're 11 years apart.
Yeah, but you were a late birthday and I was a very early birthday. You were a fall birthday, I was a winter birthday. So
by the way,
speaking of which, 6 months, 10 years.
Speaking of which, thank you, Matthew, for the birthday card. I just got it today. It's been a couple weeks, but and Matthew sent it on time. It just now got here.
Wouldn't you guys rather talk about birthdays and our level of sexiness than whatever happened to the Colts in Green Bay?
Derek, there's a lot of – this is like Festivus in September because it's going to be the airing of grievances, right?
Yeah.
The reality is this. When the schedule came out, I don't think that – and by the way, thank you to Bailey and Wood, Chateau Kitchens, Love Heating and Air, IUPUI, Hoagies and Hops, Chili Water, all for making it possible for us each and every week. IU Indy, excuse me.
Sorry.
IU
Been a
Indianapolis. IU Indy. So thanks to all, and my apologies, IU Indy. That'll happen a few more times, but I'll get it right. Thank to all for making it possible for us to do this show and talk about things like this. When the schedule came out, if you would have said the Colts were going to start out 0-2, I think those were two losses that you could have lived with and said, yeah, I get it. But then when you know that you're going up against Malik Willis and everybody in the state of Indiana, the state of Wisconsin, for that matter, everybody in the state of Illinois, when you were driving up to Wisconsin, we'll include Illinois in the equation. Everybody in those three states knew that Green Bay was going to run the football. They're going to run the football. Load the box. Not even load the box with 5 up front. Load it with like 15 up front. Because they're going to run the football, and Malik Willis is not going to beat you with his arm. And yet, the Colts just came out vanilla. Go ahead and run. After Joe Mixon found the fountain of youth against the Colts, they couldn't stop the run. It reminded me of the Jim Mora rant, right? Mm-hmm. Every time they got the ball, they went down and scored, which wasn't the case, but they controlled the line of scrimmage, did Green Bay. The Colts couldn't do anything offensively. Anthony Richardson. And I said this yesterday, Derek, and I want your thought on it. I can live with Anthony Richardson being up and down because he's a young player finding his way in the NFL. The thing that I want and hope and expect is that the Colts would be smart enough as an organization to create stability and create consistency in the other areas not named Anthony Richardson. And they haven't. And it's the areas where we were told repeatedly that we were morons for questioning it, that we were told we're going to be just fine, and those are the problems. And quite frankly, people should be sick of it.
Yeah, I just think Malik Willis, a guy off the street level quarterback, mean, Tennessee decided that he couldn't be their backup. Not that he couldn't be their starter. They didn't want him as their backup. He joined the team 3 weeks ago, and you could tell Green Bay were completely frightened about putting him in any kind of position where he had to make a big play or make a decision, and you still couldn't deal with that. There were a lot of things that were problematic. I mean, 164 first quarter rushing yards. That number is astonishing. Like that is astonishing, right? That you would give up 164 rush yards in a quarter. I mean, in a half, that is an astonishing number, much less in a quarter. And the run defense, and we'll get to all of that. But, a couple of things that just kind of stuck out to me. In a game where you needed 20 points to win, Jonathan Taylor touched the ball 14 times.
How about the fourth quarter?
That can't happen. And the fourth quarter. But, Jake, I think the issue for the Colts is that, the core pillars of their identity lately have been their ability up front, right, defensively and offensively. And they actually ran the ball well when they decided to run the ball offensively. But defensively, the rush defense is just embarrassing. And it reminds me, it's almost like the 2022 offensive line is the 2024 defensive front seven so far. Like, remember when the 2022 season started with Matt Ryan, we thought, oh, they still got Nelson and they got Braden Smith and they got all these guys. They're going to be fine there. I mean, I know they had, the tackle situation, and was that Ryman's first year, rookie year? 22? Yeah. So I think they started the season with Matt Pryor maybe at left tackle. But outside of that, the rest of the offensive line group, you were like, these guys are going to be good. And they were all terrible. The line for the first half of the season was a disaster. And you're like, why is this happening? And I'm looking at the Colts defensive line, and I get Buckner is banged up, but the investments that they put there, I mean, they say that they're 10 deep, even though Taven Bryan should be in the CFL. And it's awful. They can't stop a nosebleed, as they say, up front. And I don't know where that regression, that extreme regression has come from.
Can we use a different phrase? Because I had a nosebleed once. It couldn't stop.
I know,
had to go to the hospital.
I remember, It was gross. We had the photo on the show, remember?
Yeah,
They put a tampon in your nose and then lit it on fire, right?
Like a rhino rocket.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was literally the worst experience ever.
Yeah. It sounds awful to put a tampon up your nose and then light it on fire.
It wasn't a tampon.
Brutal.
It was just a huge...
It basically was a
but
tampon.
Here's the thing. A tampon...
Yeah, there it is. It's just, oh, God.
Hold on.
It's awful.
But I had... Now, here's the thing, Derek. That's actually... It was initially like an emery board.
Okay.
That then it softens once it gets wet, the cotton. Okay. So they have to put this wide emery board into your nose, and trust me.
Then they take a blowtorch and up your nostril.
What's that?
And burn it, and that's how you end up with the nostril.
It was not. That's dried blood, actually.
Ugh.
It was a very unpleasant experience. Anyway, as you were.
Gross. It's not. The season's not over. 15 games left. 4 months left, basically.
They're going to beat the Bears, right? If they don't beat the Bears, listen.
I don't know. Are we going to do this for a second straight week? Because you guarantee to win over the Packers, my man. We're going to do this for a second straight week?
If they don't beat, I'm telling you right now. Okay?
Yeah.
If the Indianapolis Colts do not beat the Chicago Bears
at home,
the Bears themselves with a rookie quarterback. Now, I know the Colts don't have a rookie quarterback, but I'm saying the Bears with the quarterback still feeling his way through. And I thought the Bears looked okay against Houston, but that was kind of more about Houston just not really I didn't think, like taking control of that game. But if the Colts at home at 0-2 do not beat the Chicago Bears, Katie, bar the door.
Yeah, it's over. You're calling it?
I'm not saying I'm calling it.
Calling it?
But at that point, I remember going to a Colts game, 1993. And there was construction on Capitol Avenue, and as people were walking out of the RCA Dome and walking down the steps, a guy, not going to say who, grabbed an orange cone and turned around and was yelling to people coming down the steps, "Colts suck! Colts suck!" And everybody starts chanting it. At the RCA Dome, Colts fans are chanting that. If the Colts lose to the Chicago Bears when you leave Lucas Oil Stadium, they should do a similar chant.
I mean, we all know
it's
the
still
stats,
early.
right? Like when you start 0-2, I think 13 teams in the last 20 years have started 0-2 and made the playoffs, including the Colts. I mean, Colts did it in 15. Remember, they lost the Monday night game to the Eagles, and they lost to somebody else. They lose in Denver or something. I don't remember what the other loss was. Maybe it was the Jets. But 0-3, it gets distinctively worse. I think once you get to 0-3, you're talking about single digits
The problem, Derek,
teams to make the playoffs.
The problem is they're already
0-3.
2.5 games out of the division. Yeah. Now, Houston could have C.J. Stroud.
And the
could go
AFC
down
stinks.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, AFC wide stinks, not just the division.
Right. But, so maybe they have a chance at the wild card. But I'm saying the chances of the division are already sliding here.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're doing like New York-style radio here.
I hear you.
I'm not trying to say collapse the roof. It's just the fact that it was Malik Willis. I mean, you don't have Jordan Love out there, and everybody and their brother knows what Green Bay's game plan is, and they can't do anything against it.
I'm with you. It's 2 games. Again, I sound like a broken record here. Sample size, sample size, sample size. But how the Colts lost those 2 games is a gigantic red flag. This defense right now, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like it's overperforming. It looks underperforming. It looks broken. They look broken through the first 2, 450-something rushing yards, Jake? I mean, come on.
Derek,
how is that even possible?
Here is my issue, to your point, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm in agreement with you. What is frustrating to me, borderline insulting, but what's frustrating to me is Chris Ballard doesn't do a lot of media interaction. He doesn't have to. I'm not saying that it's a requirement of his job. His job is to build a football team. But when he has spoken to the media, and that's his way of speaking to fans, okay? I don't care whether or not Chris Ballard likes the media or likes talking to the media or whatever else, but the people that pay very good money to go watch the Colts play, that invest their time, their emotion into the Indianapolis Colts, want to know and get glimpse as to the way their team is being built. And Chris Ballard talking with the media, we are the liaison that makes that possible, right? When he has done so, it has been about, don't talk to me and ask me about the areas that are of weakness right now. Let me tell you about the areas where we're strong. And let me tell you about the things I've done, the architect building that I've done that are pillars. Depth at our defensive line. Solid play in the trenches. Strength in numbers. Good young athletic defensive back players that I don't need to necessarily go out and get. And I do understand the timeline of that, and I've been somewhat defensive of that. Defensive of him, I mean. But in terms of the defensive line, Derek, so far that's their weakness.
Yeah.
The area
Shockingly.
that we were told repeatedly that we were creating false narrative and concern by asking about it has been a total bust. The tight end, I mean, do they have tight ends?
And they've always overrated their depth. They've been doing that for years, where they talk about the Colts equate having bodies to having depth. Bodies are just bodies. You know, Chester Rogers stinks. Brandon Faison stinks. Taven Bryan stinks. That's great that you have depth at those spots. Those guys are veterans. They stink. So that doesn't matter. That's not depth. Those guys stink. They shouldn't be on the field. Taven Bryan should not be playing as much as he's playing. He stinks. And I think that's part of the problem here with the Colts. They always look at their depth and think that it's better than it is. And then when you have the inevitable injury situations that they have over and over again, oh my God, Juju Brents is hurt? Wow, shocking. Oh my God. Who could have seen this coming?
Right.
You push these guys forward and everybody moves up the depth chart, and they're guys that shouldn't be on the field. That shouldn't be out there. They're guy off the street level player. A lot of times they're not even replacement level players. Colts could get by with replacement level players. So I don't want to make it all about I also don't want to excuse the coaching staff here, okay? Shane Steichen, this falls on him too. His players look unprepared, unmotivated. I understand this isn't high school and you're not supposed to be, these are grown men and they're getting paid a lot of money. Like, you shouldn't have to do the speech with Zaire Franklin and Kenny Moore, but part of that underperformance falls on the coach, right? And then schematically, things have been a problem offensively with the play calling. God, the 3rd and 1 pitch to Trey Sermon. My God.
Derek.
What a ridiculous call that was.
Let's back
Destined to fail.
Let's back up to that, okay? A year ago, the Colts had their season in the balance. The Colts had a chance a year ago. They were at a fork in the road. They're driving along. You remember the Muppets?
Yeah.
Remember in the Muppet Show when Kermit and Fozzie are driving? Moving right along. And then they come to the fork in the road.
Free.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So they come to the fork in the road, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing happened to the Colts last year. They're moving right along. Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard are driving right along. And just a bear in its natural habitat and a Studebaker. And they're driving along. And the fork in the road's right there. And Shane Steichen's like, okay, here we go. We need a first down against the Houston Texans to keep our season alive. We have Jonathan Taylor, who is one of the best running backs in the National Football League, and we have a guy at the left guard that we paid the highest amount of money in the league at that position at the time that we signed him for him to run behind. We're not going to do that. We're going to get cute. We're going to get cute and creative, and we're going to throw to a backup running back who's had like 3 passes thrown to him in his entire life. Incomplete.
Like a 4-string running back. Yeah.
Season over, right?
Yeah.
So this year, the Colts have not the season in the balance, but they have a game in the balance on a road against a guy that is basically a corpse at quarterback for the other team that everybody and their brother knows they're just going to hand the ball to and run it, and they can't stop that. But that now they've got early in the game an opportunity to make some headway, and they have a 3rd and 1. And Shane Steichen says, you know what? I still have that running back. The one that held out, and we decided to give him multi-millions of dollars, and I still have that left guard, the one that we made the highest paid left guard in the league at the time that we paid him. We still have that, and we need a yard. But I'm going to get cute. And I'm not going to go with a backup running back this time. I'm going to go with that guy's backup, basically, right? I'm going to go with a different one.
Yeah.
And well, I guess it is the backup instead of the backup. But either way, we're going to go that way, and we're going to run a pitch, and we're going to keep our bell cow on the bench. And in the 4th quarter, he ain't going to see the field. What? Well, we didn't have Jonathan Taylor out there because we wanted to throw the ball. Okay, maybe he's not an Edgerrin James blocker, but he's a bit of a decoy.
Yeah, I don't get him not playing at all.
What's that?
I don't get him not playing at all in the 4th quarter. Like, look,
there's no defense in the league that's like, you know what, we better bring somebody up because Trey Sermon's in the backfield.
If you're arguing that, okay, it's passing downs and Taylor's not out there, fine. If that's your argument, okay, I can accept that. What I can't accept is running unless you have a real burner back there, running a speed option on 3rd and 1 is a ridiculous play call. You know, that's a call that you run if you're a Big Ten team facing Western Illinois or Indiana State, where you can out-athlete the other team. Trey Sermon's not a burner, much less a great NFL running back. Just everything about that call, the personnel, the call itself, the situation, everything about that call was absurdly, hilariously wrong.
Do you know the last defense to take Trey Sermon seriously?
IU?
Clemson.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right? And he gashed him.
I was thinking back to his Ohio State days.
Actually, Clemson didn't even, which is why he is now in the NFL.
I don't get it. That call, it's not even getting cute. It was just like malpractice. And people here in this town just destroyed Frank Reich for calls like that. And Steichen has reached into that bag now several times, but that, I think, was the whole game changed on that play. I really think the Colts were about to come back and win that game had you redone that 3rd and 1.
Let me ask you this
Maybe
question.
I'm being overly optimistic.
This is September of 2024, right?
Yeah.
It is show number 202 or 203? 203.
203, yeah. Connecticut, Trumbull area code.
In all honesty, what numbered show are we on, and what is the date where if Anthony Richardson has another performance like Green Bay that we then officially start to say that it's of concern?
Let's see, we do about 50 shows a year. It would have to be like into October of 25.
Okay. So you're giving him the whole year of this, which is fine.
Oh, yeah. Here, this is going to sound like I'm contradicting myself because people are like, what do you mean you're not being patient? This is basically Anthony Richardson's rookie year. I am willing to be patient with Anthony Richardson. What I am not willing to be patient with is the Colts have run this entire roster back. They can't regress. So I have run out of patience with the organization and the regime. I have patience for the quarterback. But you can't sell to me spending hundreds of millions of dollars in in-house free agency, making like two little tiny, Joe Flacco and making two little tiny moves in free agency, outside free agency. You run this team back and then go 6-11, 7-10. That's unacceptable to me. I'm not willing to see this team regress. They don't have to go to the Super Bowl. They don't even have to go to the AFC Championship game. But what they can't do is no more backward steps. That's what I'm so tired about with this regime, is that it's forward step, backward step, forward step, backward step, forward step, backward step. And at some point, you've got to climb and get somewhere and produce a tangible result. We can't sit around and wait forever for Chris Ballard to get this right. And you could say bad luck or circumstances or Andrew Luck retirement, all this stuff that's happened. Look, I get it. But NFL turnaround should not take 10 years. They shouldn't. They take 2 years sometimes. Hell, the Texans turned it around in 1. And that's an extreme example, but I've just run out of patience. And this goes back, Jake, to the Grigson Pagano years. I mean, this is year 10 of the Colts spinning their wheels out of the gates
54,
again.
54, 62, and 1.
Year 10.
Chris Ballard's record, 54, 62, and 1.
But I never bring that up because I think there are circumstances that are valid that explain that record. But my point is, Jake, I can't sit around forever for the Colts to get it right. Eventually, they're going to have to make a decision and a change if this continues. Again, 2 games.
How many of the Jackson 5 can you name?
Tito.
Okay, hold on. Tito. Okay.
Michael.
Okay.
Janet is part of the family, but not part of the Jackson 5.
Correct. Okay, we'll put Janet up.
Let's see. Maddie. Ben.
No. Okay, you got Tito, Michael. You're missing
Taven.
No. Okay. Miami baseball team.
Marlins.
Okay.
Oh, Marlon?
Yes.
There's a guy in the Jackson 5 named Marlon Jackson?
Yes.
Shut up. You're pulling my leg, right?
Why would I make that up? Because it's the name of
the
Colts
Colts. Yeah. No, Marlon Jackson is in the Jackson.
The guy that played for the Colts is not the Marlon that is.
No. I understand that. There's a Marlon Jackson in there? Really? What's he? Is he with us?
Yes.
Okay. What's he do?
They were supposed to be traveling.
Yeah.
The Jackson 5. Marlon is the youngest. He's Michael's little brother. They were born.
No, Michael was the youngest, I thought.
I'm sorry. Marlon was 17 months older than Michael.
Okay.
So when Marlon and Michael, it was originally the Jackson trio, essentially, which was Tito.
Yeah.
Jermaine,
that's one that I did recognize, yeah. I never knew there was a Marlon Jackson in the Jackson family. I never once in my life have heard that.
And then I believe Randy is the other one, right?
Randy?
Not the American Idol Randy.
Yeah. That's a no for me, dog.
Tito, Marlon, Michael, Jermaine.
Yeah, see, you don't even know.
But anyway, Tito yesterday passed away.
I saw, yeah.
And Tito is the one that started the Jackson 5 because their father was a musician, came home, their guitar was broken. He found out that it was Tito that had broken the guitar trying to play it. And so he said, all right, fine, let me see how well you can play it. And Tito started playing, and he goes, oh, my gosh, this guy's unbelievable. So he started the Jackson 5, put it all together. Tito yesterday passed away. I just was curious if you could name.
And then Chris Ballard is a Jackson 5 fan, or how does this tie into our conversation? Why did you slam the brakes on our conversation to bring this up?
Because people are tired of hearing about the Colts suck.
Okay, well, we're only like 15 minutes into the show.
Are you familiar with how we do this show?
Well, yeah, I'm familiar too, but I just okay.
Michael,
we're like
Marlon,
20 minutes in.
Jermaine, Tito, and Randy's the 5th, right? Isn't there a Randy?
Right. I mean, we're having a really good conversation there about the Colts, and it was animated and the whole deal, and we're both pretty fired up. And then you're like,
okay,
hey, do you know?
So here's the thing:
Tito Jackson.
The last pinnacle moment of Colts moments was Marlon Jackson's interception, and since then it's been a slow decline down, and now we're back to the point where unfortunately it feels like the Colts did before the Peyton Manning era, which was this, and that was that you had an owner that was passionate about it but a little bit detached, and you had a general manager that might have been over his skis. Now you have an owner that I don't know if you'd say detached, certainly passionate in Jim Irsay, but you have a general manager that is slightly over his skis perhaps, and that's Chris Ballard. Is he in fact representative of Jim Irsay? And that whole thing got saved when Peyton Manning came, which culminated with Marlon Jackson's interception. But now here we are.
Yeah, and it's
how's that, Derek?
Okay, that's good.
How's that? Thank you.
And I still let's get some. I know it's hard to be positive right now. I will say I am confident that this offense is going to figure it out. Like I think this offense is going to get better. I think Steichen is going to figure out how to use this running game.
It's going to be.
Alec Pierce has been very promising.
He has.
So I think A.D. Mitchell had an awful game at Lambeau, but I think he's going to be a weapon once he learns how to play. I think the tight ends stink, but I think the rest of the offensive line was better than they were against Houston. I have faith in the offense, but I worry that there is something inherently unchangeably wrong with this defense right now. That's what I'm very concerned about.
I agree that the offense might eventually get it figured out, but when you have a young quarterback that's still, and this is not a young quarterback like a young Peyton Manning. It's not a young quarterback like a young C.J. Stroud. It's a young quarterback that is still learning the mechanics of the position, right? Yeah. And so with that, you can afford yourself and allow yourself and expect for yourself inconsistencies of the quarterback play. The way you offset that is you make sure you have consistency elsewhere, and they don't. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I completely agree. And your best players have to play. Zaire Franklin can't be the worst player on the field. Kenny Moore can't miss a half dozen tackles. Like, you need those guys to perform. They are being paid to perform.
You can't have your leading tackler for the second straight game or coming up against Chicago your third straight game
Nick Cross,
be the safety, right?
Yeah, I mean, come on.
That's a bad sign.
Who actually has kind of sort of been okay.
Yes,
I think Nick Cross has been sort of okay. It's just everything else has been kind of failing around him.
Derek, I'm going to go back to what I've said all along through two games. They have outsmarted themselves offensively and outdumbed themselves defensively.
Yeah. I still think the offense is going to be good. And look, everything is still in front of them. I don't want people going back to this show like 6 weeks later and being like, see, you guys buried the Colts. I'm not trying to bury the Colts, but I'm just telling you that they suffered an unacceptable loss. The Houston game, fine. You can live with that.
There's no way they live.
Week 2, Malik Willis, that is an unacceptable result.
There's no way they lose to the Bears, right?
Unacceptable result. I'm not going there. Time for our Hoagie and Hero of the Week because we need to be cheered up. No, I'm not going there with saying that they're going to like guaranteed win or something like that. This is the Greg Rakestraw.
Jackie, Tito. Did I say Jackie?
Just shut up.
Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael.
It's over. Nobody cares. We are petitioning Christina and Hoagies and Hops leadership, so Donnie, Maddie, and the rest of the group.
Randy was in it. There is a Randy, but it's
rename this the Pit Twist, the Greg Rakestraw Sando, because this is his absolute favorite. So it's just like what you had. It's an elevated version of what you used to make in your house. Instead of white bread, you have delicious Licio's bread from South Jersey. So elevated bread, right? Instead of like American cheese Kraft singles, you have delicious provolone. Dietz and Watson meats and cheeses. Some great ham. Some Hearst potato chips instead of like the off-brand stuff they used to put on here. It's an elevated version of the sandwich that you make at home. And you could also put slaw on it as well, which I like to do. You put chippies on yours?
Oh, my chips are right here.
You gotta put chippies on it.
They're just called chips.
On this sandwich, you gotta say chippies. It's good, right?
Don't talk with your mouth full.
Jake doesn't like mayo on his either.
Direwolf. Mm-hmm. This is one of my favorites. What is that? This is a hazy pale ale, by the way, from Chili Water. We've had it before. It is absolutely fantastic. And this time of year, the Direwolf's perfect this time of year, right? You're getting ready for, just a little bit crisp in the air, fall time. Why not enjoy a hazy IPA?
Are you...
Man, that's good.
You'd be House Lannister.
Who?
You'd be House Lannister. I'm House Stark.
Chili Water, by the way, there's nothing better, especially this time of year. I've mentioned it before, but you go into Hoagies and Hops right there, 42nd Boulevard.
42nd Boulevard, yeah.
And it's one big thing, basically. Right next door, Chili Water with the beers on tap, or you can get them, obviously, in the can. But it's awesome to get a sandwich. It's being made fresh, so you go over, get a cold beer, come back over, sit down, enjoy all of it. Open air atmosphere on a Saturday. College football is going on. People are enjoying it. It's just an awesome. This time of year, it is perfect for it.
We should pick houses.
And the Direwolf is perfect for this time of year as well.
Game of Thrones houses, since Direwolf is a play on that. So, like Jordan would be House Tyrell because they're kind of like elevated. They're smarter than everybody else. Like not in an arrogant way.
Elevated like the sandwich.
You'd be House Lannister because of the arrogance. I'd be House Stark because I'm the hero of the show. Trying to think of one of the weaker houses for Vince.
Yeah, that's good.
Like House Frey, maybe. Something like that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You're getting on me about
You
the
never
Jackson
watched
5?
Game of Thrones?
No.
Come on. Game of Thrones is far more culturally relevant right now than Marlon and Tito Jackson.
Tito just died.
Yeah, House of Dragon just concluded their season, too. So, Direwolf, Chili Water Tap Room, 42nd and Boulevard. Delicious Sandos, like the Pit Twists, Hoagies and Hops. Catering as well for your tailgate parties or whatever else. Get some Sandos, Hoagies and Hops.com. We come back on the show. College football roundup, including a... Oh, wait, hold on. We didn't do our actual hero, did we? This actually segues into college football.
I have one different than you, though. But
okay.
Go ahead.
I mean, to me, it's Kurt Cignetti.
Argue.
Indiana had... Maybe Purdue's schedule doesn't allow this, but I actually think UCLA is the worst team in the Big Ten, or will end up being the worst team in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
That said, you can probably count on one hand how many times in Indiana's football history they have gone into a Power 4 or Power 5 road stadium and shellacked somebody. I mean, they killed them. They disemboweled UCLA in that game. Outside of the targeting penalties, they did whatever they wanted. And you got to go back to 2001 when they hung 63 on Wisconsin.
Well too. Curtis Works played well.
Yeah, when I was a freshman, I almost made Curtis Work the hero as well. I don't know what Indiana's ceiling is this year, even though color me intrigued. I think by beating UCLA, they have significantly raised their floor. I think at worst, they are solidly a bowl team. At worst.
I totally agree. And they're an interesting bowl team. That's the other thing, right? Like they're
fun to
have
watch.
A swagger, and they're interesting because of Kurt Cignetti.
They have talent. They're fun to watch.
I can't argue that.
The JMU guys, who I was kind of like, okay, well, you're just going to get every JMU guy, I think have indoctrinated themselves well into the program, and clearly he went over. Zach Osterman had a great piece about this in the Indy Star, where Cignetti weighed veteran proven production over potential in the transfer portal, and it's only 3 games so far, and they have yet to face a great opponent, but I think that has proven out to be the right approach for IU so far.
Okay, Derek, I totally agree with that, but I do want to mention one other hero of the week, and it's a name that you might not know if you live in the Indianapolis area, but you certainly have known of the impact. Many, many moons ago, I'm talking probably 50 years ago, there was a Chicago police officer by the name of Fred Burns. And Fred Burns met a young lady in Chicago, fell in love, decided to get married. Her name, Freda, by the way. He always joked that it made it easy to buy matching towels and it was less expensive. But her parents lived in Indianapolis, and so Fred Burns, the Chicago police officer, moved to Indianapolis but decided that he wanted to bring with him from Chicago his passion for the sport of boxing. So he began F&F Burns boxing promotion and decided, you know what, Indianapolis has a sporting event, the Indianapolis 500, where people come in from all over. So I'm going to do live boxing right near Market Square Arena and during the month of May and capitalize on that sports audience. And it was a complete disaster. Nobody showed up. It was terrible. But he, in no way, shape, or form, was deterred and developed into one of the great boxing promoters across the country, bringing heavyweight boxing and boxing in all levels, all areas to the city of Indianapolis. Everybody that came here from, working with Don King and getting Boom Boom Mancini to come here for an appearance and bringing in different boxers that would come, George Foreman, to fight in Indianapolis, and also assisting in the Indiana Gold Gloves to make sure that boxing was a sport that grew and gave opportunity for young athletes throughout the state of Indiana. He became the circus leader, if you will, for Keith Boggs at Gold Gloves and Sugar Ray Seals and all these guys to get together and have lunch and talk about boxing and continue to try to grow the sport within the city of Indianapolis. And Fred Burns passed away earlier, actually at the end of last week, after a series of illness, but an absolute great guy, a pillar of a sport in Indianapolis that left his mark on a city that he was proud to call home after moving here as a young adult and leaving it, from a boxing standpoint, a better place than that of which he entered. So salute to Fred for a life well lived and a sport well enriched through his time in Indy.
You always find these deep cuts, culturally significant figures in Indy that if you don't know, you don't know, right?
Right.
And he's one of them, so that's great to give him a plug there, albeit in passing. One of my favorite interviews I've ever did, I was very young. This would have been like 6 months into me taking over the zone for Rakestraw when he left to do TV back in the 950 days. I did like I think it was like a 35-minute interview with George Foreman.
Really?
Yeah, and it was awesome, and I still have it.
So you grilled him?
Okay. See, I'm trying to share like a moment from my career, and instead of being like, wow, that's really cool, I'm proud of you or whatever else, it becomes like
How was it like that? I made a funny
with
quip.
everything. Yeah.
I bet he was cool though, right?
Yeah, he was great, but you've ruined it. Let's move on. College football, when we come back, IU's
That's a good
win,
line.
Purdue's loss, Notre Dame.
Was it a Notre Dame win?
Who the hell knows? Yeah, who knows? And also the Fever locking up their playoff seed.
Right.
We'll talk about that as well. It's Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
Which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. Alongside Jake Corey, I'm Derek Schultz. Thanks to our good friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group, 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com for Bailey & Wood Financial Group. 5-star customer service. You can go to any one of their Indiana branch locations. Chances are there's one near you. I'm doing it on the map, like I'm pointing them all out. Like Noblesville, Whiteland.
No, Derek,
Carmel.
that would be, okay. Noblesville, Whiteland, Carmel.
So many.
Yeah,
just so many all over the state of Indiana. And then even in Florida. Bailey & Wood Financial Group, BAWFG.com. Looking to refi. Rates are going down. Yay. Or you're looking to get that pre-approval for your mortgage. Do so with Mike Wood and his fantastic team at Bailey & Wood.
You could see it at the golf outing, the people that come up that Mike's had as customers. And, he's like buddies with all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like family to everybody, right? Which is
great.
exactly what you want.
Just the greatest of great dudes, for sure. We had mentioned IU throttling UCLA. Let's just kind of end that conversation with IU. After they beat Charlotte, which I'm assuming that they will, they're in a situation where all they have to do to be bowl eligible, and I know they've got higher sights than that, is win 2 games against Maryland, Northwestern, Washington, Michigan State, Michigan, and Purdue.
Okay. Derek, the thing about Indiana at this point, we're only 3 games in, I realize, but you feel for the first time in a long time confident that they have the upper hand against the mid-pack Big Ten teams. Not the traditional powers. The Ohio States, the Michigans, I get it. But the Marylands, the Illinois, the Northwesterns, the Purdues, the Michigan State's improved. You feel like they got a good chance against those teams.
Yeah.
You win those, and you're in good shape.
And they're a good team. I mean, they're up to, I think, number 40 in S&P Plus. So the metrics are really liking IU right now as well. And you look at the rest of the league, Jake. I mean, Washington looks way down. I don't think Michigan's any good at all.
Michigan
look, hey,
struggling.
Indiana, Michigan, right? Who are we to say, given the history and all of that? But Michigan State obviously and Purdue are winnable games. Maryland's okay. I don't think Northwestern's any good. So Indiana conceivably has probably the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th best teams in the Big Ten on their schedule.
Yeah.
So they can win all 4 of those games. And if you do that, that's 8 wins, assuming that they beat Charlotte, which I think that they will. But
I'm going to predict it right now, Derek. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you their bowl opponent.
I think it's going to be Music City Bowl, and it's going to be South Carolina.
Okay. I'll go with what's the Insight.com Bowl?
It's something else now.
Okay, whatever. You want to talk?
Yeah.
Iowa State.
Okay. Yeah. See, I think they're going to go a level up from there. Purdue did the Music City a couple of years ago and beat Tennessee, and that was a great game. Speaking of the Boilers, I don't even know what to do with that game. Maybe it was the worst thing for them to sit in that bubble of beating Indiana State for 2 weeks and start feeling themselves, but they just I guess you have those afternoons, but it was an historic loss, to say the least.
I think that's the frustration, Derek. There are 2 things that really hurt that Purdue loss. One of them is, and look, I know Ryan Walters is still very early in his tenure, but how much do we know about beating Indiana State? And then you have a bye week, and you come out, and that's what you put up. And you're coming off, and it's hurt, and it's amplified by the fact that Notre Dame lost at home to Northern Illinois. Yeah. And Northern Illinois manhandled Notre Dame in the trenches, and Notre Dame beyond manhandled Purdue in the trenches.
Yeah, even if Notre Dame had won that game, Northern Illinois hung tough and outplayed them for a large majority of that game, and that never happened with Purdue.
So, I keep joking with you that Oregon is going to go to West Lafayette and Purdue is going to shock the world, right? Yeah. And through the first couple of weeks, I thought, I don't know, it'll be that big a shock if Purdue beats Oregon. And then Purdue decided to put the shock factor back into play because of the way they played. That was a discouraging performance.
Yeah, and it's one of these things that, is it going to be one of these seminal moments that we point to in the Ryan Walters era of where things started to turn either good or bad, right? Yeah. I mean, I think it's what do they say, a come to Jesus moment a little bit, I think, for the program. And look, it's 14 games in. We're very early into his tenure, but that level of play, and he even said it was embarrassing, right? I'm just using his words. For Notre Dame, I don't care how much you're struggling. It's really hard to win a Power 4 road game by 59 points. I mean, that doesn't happen. Michigan against Rutgers a couple of years ago, I think, was like that. I remember Notre Dame beating like Pitt maybe 60 to 14 or something like that. But those were home games, I believe.
I mean, admittedly, I was at the IndyCar finale, so I did not see the game.
It's the most points they've ever given up. Purdue,
did Notre Dame call off the dogs?
Yeah. I mean, they played 4 quarterbacks. They played 4, and 3 of them scored, I think. So they Riley Leonard went out of that game at halftime, I believe. He might have played the first series of the third quarter. But it was 42-0 at halftime, and for all intents and purposes, It was over right there. But these were Notre Dame's second and third string guys that were scoring. I mean, they still outscored them, I think, 20. That's a problem. 42-0, I'm doing the math in my head, 24-7 in the second half, which was mostly backups. So we'll see where Purdue goes from here. They've just got a really tricky game at Oregon State, who's also coming off a lopsided loss to a rival.
Now you're going to be out there, right?
Yeah.
Now let me warn you now, Derek, because I know you're jumpy.
What?
You scare easily.
No, I don't.
Oh yeah, you do. You're afraid of everything.
No, I'm not. I'm afraid of really normal things.
Like what?
Clowns. Chorophobia. There's actually a thing for that. There's not a name for a fear of pelicans, but I don't like birds in general.
Okay. Those are 2 abnormal things.
No, not at all. Those are 2 very common things. Sometimes I worry about. I'm scared for my future, like do I have enough savings and things like that to retire? So things like that. Yeah.
You ever go to haunted houses?
No, hate them.
Why?
I don't like stuff jumping out at me, and I really don't like stuff touching me.
Okay.
Really don't like that.
I believe you just made my point.
What?
You don't like things jumping out at you. You don't like being scared.
Awful.
Okay. Well, I'm just warning you now. When you go to Corvallis is it Beaver Stadium?
It's Wrestle.
Whatever the stadium is at Oregon State.
Riesel.
On every third down, because they're the Beavers and it's in forestry territory, very loud chainsaw noises.
Ugh.
To get the crowd fired up, and they do it a lot.
I'm excited about going. They just renovated the stadium. It only seats 35,000, which is actually kind of cool.
It's cool.
That's more of almost like a soccer field than a Big Ten football type feel. But I mean, Jake, and then they've got Nebraska coming to Ross-Ade the next week. I mean, I hate to be must-win guy, but if Purdue's gonna do something this season, they probably have to go to Oregon State and win, right?
And Nebraska's kind of, I mean, they look
Nebraska's good,
right?
Yeah, Nebraska's good. I could say that Nebraska's going to be a mainstay in the top 25 this year. I really believe that.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, Matt Rule's got that thing going. They've always had talent there, but they're actually performing to their talent level. So I'll give them some. I didn't have anything else nationally, college football wise. I don't think there was a whole lot of other things that were relevant.
Yeah, it was kind of a down week, right? I mean, it was like the big game was Alabama and Wisconsin.
It was a blowout. Yeah,
Georgia, Kentucky was okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a rock fight.
A rock fight. What's a rock fight?
You never heard that term before?
Is that when 2 bands get into it?
It's just so ugly. You're just throwing rocks at each other, and you're just all bloody, and you're like, ugh, and then you pick up a rock and you throw it, and you hit the other person in the nose, and then they break their nose, and then they throw a rock back at you, and it breaks your eye socket. And it's just like, by the end of it, you look just so beat up. Like low scoring, hard to watch football, fight.
What kind of TV
Like
are you watching?
52-51, Big Ten basketball Wednesday night, Wisconsin playing one of the Archie Miller Indiana teams. Rock fight.
Boy, is there any era that's more forgettable than that?
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Like, did that really happen?
It was pretty rough. Something else to discuss. I know this isn't college football related, but a complete kind of gear shift. The Indiana Fever quits the number 6 seed, 20-19, their first 20-win season since 2019. How about that? Finished the season on a 19-11 tear after that dreadful 1-8 start. So a lot of good things for the Fever. They'll either play the Sun, Lynx, or Aces. Hopefully not the latter. In the first round. There are games tonight and games on Thursday, which is kind of annoying for the Fever because they're probably not going to know for at least, we're taping this right now, early Tuesday morning, they're not going to know for at least another 72 hours who they're playing.
A rock fight is a festive public event where people throw rocks at each other.
Yeah.
What's festive about that?
Just all the blood, probably. Caitlin Clark set the WNBA single-season record for points and assists. So congratulations to Caitlin Clark for that. A fabulous season from Kelsey Mitchell. And I believe the format, if I remember right from the WNBA, is it's a best of 3, and the first 2 games are on the road. And then, so the Fever, conceivably, if they split the 2 games, they'll get the deciding game at home.
The Fever is going to get eliminated by Las Vegas. That's the only team that can eliminate them.
Well, there are other teams that can eliminate them.
No, everybody else is numbered.
I would not want to play. I would not want to play Las Vegas.
Vegas clearly.
I'll take the chance, and the Lynx are really good too.
I know, but I'm telling you, they figured everybody else out. Can't figure out Las Vegas.
If the Fever could put themselves in a position where they could get to Game 3 in a series, I think that's a win.
Yeah,
just get here. I think the stadium will be lit up. Everybody will be pulling for them. I think that would be a real evening of the level because I don't think the Fever are as good as the Sun, Lynx, or Aces. But I think
they are a tough matchup for them, though.
That home court advantage, there will actually be a legitimate home court advantage for them.
By the way, it's time for Love That Play, brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com is their website. 317-353-2141 is the telephone number. Love Heating and Air has been around in Central Indiana for over 100 years, serving Marion and the Donut Counties. Great product, knowledge of product, 24-hour on-call maintenance, and honesty when they come out to your home. You want to make sure that you have somebody with integrity coming into your home, and if there's a smaller job that doesn't yet necessarily mean a big job, they're going to tell you that. They're not going to say, hey, you know what, we got to redo all this right now. Those are the things you get from Love Heating and Air. Chris and John Love have been like brothers to me, and they will treat you like family as well. Derek, each and every week we do our Love That Play, your nominee for your favorite play. Probably not the third and one for the Colts, right?
No, definitely not. That'd be my least favorite play. That'd be my Love HVAC's Hate That Play. I actually didn't choose a play. I chose just something that happened, and that was the Fever drawing 600,000 fans.
Crazy.
Do you know what the previous WNBA record was for fans? Like ballpark.
435.
Yeah, lower. But yeah, 400,000, 407,000, I think, for the Washington Mystics way back in 1999. The Fever's smallest crowd this season was 9,000 fans. Smallest. That was the fewest amount of fans that went to see the Fever play. I mean, it's just incredible. I think you and I knew that this was going to be a big deal. I don't think anybody had any idea that it'd be this big of a deal.
Especially on the road, right?
Yeah, that it'd be this big of a deal. So congratulations to the Fever for that. And just organizationally, they've really leaned into it, and they've done a great job.
It is funny because, when Caitlin Clark was available, you had a couple of people that just in the back of your mind, you're like, gosh, are there better actual players to select? And, is this phenomenon going to be Jimmer Fredette?
Yeah.
We have our answer.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. I mean, it's been incredible. Do you not have a Love That Play?
What's that?
Do you not have a Love That Play?
I was going to go with just the play of Curtis Rourke.
Okay.
But we kind of touched on that with Indiana and UCLA. I mean, this is a guy that has come as a transfer. And, sometimes you think, like, okay, you're coming from the MAC, played really, really well, and was really precise for Indiana against UCLA. And just the fact that Indiana traveled to the Rose Bowl to that level. You saw some of the photos earlier, but it was very cool for people to be able to go and enjoy. There's nothing like – it is amazing that UCLA, they can't draw flies out there, but it's going to be a fun environment for visiting teams.
I think UCLA has opened themselves up to, and I get why they made the move. I think they've opened themselves up to a lot of embarrassment when it comes to that. Like, can you imagine when Nebraska plays at UCLA or Ohio State plays at UCLA? They'll be, and I know Ohio State has actually played in the Rose Bowl a couple times. There'll be, tens of thousands of people there. Like every IU alum within a 3-hour radius of LA was probably at that game.
Correct.
Right? Because they have a great national fan base. So does Nebraska. So does Ohio State.
And
so do a lot of these Big Ten schools.
They had to stay for all 4 quarters.
Yeah.
They need to do that at home now, right?
It is funny how these road venues, you always see when IU basketball or football plays in LA, Atlanta, Dallas, wherever else, there are IU fans everywhere. And then for the football games, you know what I mean? There's like 200 people there.
They're all tailgating.
I shouldn't say that. When Tom Allen had them cooking, they were drawing sellout crowds. But it'll definitely be a bit of a cultural shift to get those fans. We talked a little bit about that last week, to get those fans back on board. We come back, quick hits, our IU Indy Jags report as well, and we still have Chateau Kitchen's Batter Bowl to get to.
All
Corey
right.
Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Stick around.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride.
Welcome back. Quick hits time here on Query and Schultz. Let's start with this. Congratulations to Alex Pillow. Now 3 championships in 5 years.
16 for Chip Ganassi race.
Still just 27 years old. No offense to Pillow, and this is not his fault. And I don't know if it's necessarily anybody's fault. But the reason I kind of stashed this in quick hits is because I just don't think anybody outside of IndyCar diehards were paying attention. It's maybe the move to Fox will help, but now I think now in Indy, especially now that the Fever have become a thing too, that's siphoned off some usual, hey, dead sports time of year, let's call Scott Dixon. You know what I mean? I think that's siphoned some of that off. I don't want to, Jake, you know me, and I'm not saying this because you like work with the series or whatever. I don't want to be that person that just beats down IndyCar all the time, but I just find it alarming how a championship like this, like in their little corner of the world, it's a big deal, but literally to anybody else, you're just like, wait, what? There was a race today? What happened?
Right.
And
I can't argue that.
It's just unfortunate.
I can't argue that.
No.
I mean, it was, Impelot's a nice guy. He's an Indy resident.
Sure.
He's
obviously a talent.
he is a guy around. He's a super nice guy, young family. You had Scott McLaughlin, third in points, who's a rising star and a fun personality and drives for Roger Penske. You had Will Power that was at the end of his career. But there's a reason why Fox is going to move the schedule and shorten it to before the NFL season kicks off.
Which is probably smart.
Once football season begins, man, it is hard to get eyeballs.
And I just think that if people saw it at some of these, at a lot of these races, if people saw the product, they'd love it. Certainly if they saw the 500. If even more people saw that, they'd love it. Congrats to Butler football. They're off to a 3-0 start.
How about
Dogs blanked Hanover 53 donut.
53-0.
And their best start in years at 3 donut.
Why don't you say 53 tire?
So they're 3 donut. After a 53 donut win, they conclude their non-league slate with Virginia, Lynchburg, and at the Selleck Bowl before they open up conference play against Morehead State.
There are square donuts now too.
Yeah.
So
I'm a
donut.
Jack's guy.
Understood, but I'm just saying, donuts are not always round. Is what I'm getting at. They're tiger tails. Those are donuts.
People know what I mean when I say.
You could say tire. Why would you say tire? You're coming off IndyCar.
53 donut. That's an impressive showing for them. 53 donut. Finally, Perry Fuel. I almost say Fuel. He was the old coordinator, NFL coordinator. Perry Farrell.
Yeah.
Apologizes. Jane's Addiction cancels their tour. They were just about to hit Indy.
I know.
Did you have tickets to that?
No.
Okay, because that's your kind of generation.
Yeah, I was never a Jane's Addiction guy. I liked Porno for Pyros, okay, but I was never a Jane's Addiction guy.
Had that outburst. I'm sure people saw. He just kind of like started yelling at and then bumped Dave Navarro.
Dave Navarro was married to Carmen Electra, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think they've been split up for a long time, I think.
True.
The rest of the band released a statement on Sunday imploring Perry to get the help he needs, so we'll see. I mean, it's kind of sad when you see somebody that you're assuming is not all there and they're picking a fight for no reason.
Do you know Perry Farrell's he is the creator, or if you will, like kind of the founder of what? Aside from Jane's Addiction.
Grunge?
Nope.
I don't know.
Lollapalooza.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was kind of the driving force behind Lollapalooza.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Oh. That's interesting.
It's all right here.
You got your Jag?
You ever get amazed, by the way? I do.
Got your ball?
I do.
You ready for your
It
report?
is time for the IU Indy Jag report. Talking about, I love it right here. Here's the thing, Derek. When you talk about IU Indy, you're not just talking about Division I sports right here in Central Indiana and based in Indianapolis, but also a league, right?
Yeah.
A conference that's based right here in Indianapolis with the Horizon. So let's get right to showing you what the IU Indy Jaguars are up to, and we will begin with men's soccer, who beat Akron, zipped past them, if you will, 2-1 in their first game of an Ohio road trip. Ethan Vermillion, Jose Antonio Herrera both had second half goals. Game 2 of their trip over to the Buckeye State, they did drop 2-0 to Wright State.
2 donut. Bummer.
What's that?
2 donut.
I know, but Mason Taylor continues fine play in the net for the Jags, the men's variation of the soccer team for IU Indy, and they are next. I'm looking to see where they're home next because you can buy tickets. Hang on, Derek. Hang on.
Come on.
Hold on.
It's right on the screen.
Hold on. What's that?
IUindyJags.com/tickets.
I know, but I'm looking to see who they're playing next, right?
Okay. Did you lose your place? It's just the worst.
Saturday at 1 o'clock against Robert Morris.
I was going to say, we don't have an infinite loop of highlights here. Lauren
Sorry.
and company did a great job.
The women's team, by the way, Shannon Ott, Cassie Rodriguez scored goals in a loss 6-2 to Ball State that you just saw right there. But don't worry because they are home again on Sunday. So you got Saturday against Robert Morris for the IU Indy men. Then Sunday, they are home against Cleveland State, 1 o'clock at Carroll Stadium. Tickets, again, available, as you saw, at IUindyJags.com/tickets.
We trust Jake to do one thing here, and that's intro this segment, and he just can barely.
Do you not want to hear about volleyball?
Can barely do that.
Do we have?
Do we have
highlights
time?
of volleyball?
I don't know.
Yes.
You ate up 10 minutes going through your notes.
Derek,
we ate up the entire.
I wanted to make
package.
sure people knew that IU Indy was going to be playing Robert Morris on Saturday at Michael Carroll Stadium. I wanted to make sure that people knew that. That's actually a conference matchup, right? IU volleyball, by the way, IU Indy volleyball 1-2 last week. The Jaguars were at the DC Showdown. I assume that's in the District of Columbia, right?
No, it's at Decatur Central, Jake.
They fell to Georgetown and George Washington over the weekend on Friday.
They played Georgetown and George Washington.
Ended the trip with the win against Ryder 3-1. How about that? So they ended the trip with a win against Ryder 3-1. Morgan Ostrowski, 15 kills, a career-high 15 kills for IU Indy. They will be, by the way, first home game against Indiana State since the 2014 season. That's going to be Wednesday at 7 o'clock at the Jungle. Wednesday.
And I saw the crowds at volleyball have been great. I saw some of the footage from the crowds at volleyball.
Have you ever watched volleyball in person?
It's amazing to watch live, but they've been drawn great there at the Jungle, which is
the men's and women's cross-country team, by the way, my old stomping grounds, they are going to be at the Jaguar Invitational this Friday in Shelbyville. Starting at 5:15.
By the way, speaking of the Horizon League, we're doing a special edition live show tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah. Horizon League basketball media day. So we're going to have a couple of coaches on with us. I think Julie Rolash will be on with us, the commissioner. Our buddy Sean Sullivan is the one that put that together. And I believe, Rake, are you emceeing that deal? Oh, that's tonight? Okay. Well, he's emceeing something tonight as well, but he's part of it.
That was in the Jag notes, probably.
Our friends in the Horizon League, we're excited about that. I don't know if Lauren knew that we were coming out there for that. She might be there tomorrow, though.
Can I bring the little Jaguar?
I'm not sure. Yeah, you can if you want. Yeah. Make sure it's in one of those clear plastic bags so we can get through security. We come back. Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bull Bleep, including one about Bryce Young's future. Ooh. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. That was a weird face. Sorry.
Which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time. It's Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. I know we're running over. I'm sorry.
I'm excited about doing the show tomorrow live.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, but morning show. So we'll get some coffee and some Horizon League hoops. I should know this right. When we're starting that thing at 9, right? Yeah, 9.
Okay.
9 to 11. So like our 2-hour special edition. Vince in the truck, I'm a little worried about. But overall, it's been good. Oh, he's not? Okay, Vince isn't doing the show, so you got nothing to worry about for tomorrow. 9 to 11, we'll go on.
I have all the confidence in the world in Vince.
We love Vince.
When I go out of town, I'm going to hire Vince to watch Boo. That's how much
I actually love
confidence I
Vince.
have in
Yeah,
him.
Vince. Are you really?
In Vince.
Oh, wow.
Well, he doesn't know that, but I'm about to.
Okay, Boo hates me. He wouldn't come out for me.
Yeah, I know.
No,
Do you
or
blame
James.
him?
Chateau Kitchens, buy it or boldly, brought to you by our friends at Chateau Kitchens, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures of their latest projects. You can see their whole home transformations, bathrooms, wet bars if you want to do that, basements, kitchens. Obviously, kitchens is in the name. Anything on the interior of your home, they can glow up. Our friends at Chateau Kitchens, they have certainly transformed the Schultz household over there in Midtown. At Chateau Kitchens and chateaukitchens.com on social media and their website. Buy it or bold, statement 1. Bryce Young won't start for the Panthers again. Buy it or bold.
I buy that, and I'll tell you what, Derek, I think there is a team out there, I don't know which one it would be, but if you were a team that needed a quarterback, I would make phone calls because I don't think this is a Bryce Young problem. I think it's a Carolina problem.
Look, I think it's both. It's so bad that I think it's both. I think... And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm Nick Yeoman. I'm not watching the Carolina Panthers to that level. But the clips that I've seen of Bryce Young, Jake, he stinks. Like, I know we're talking sample size, and I'm the big sample size guy, and we're only talking about barely 20 games. But God, he might be a lost cause.
Derek, I mean,
he might be.
Young quarterbacks, you have a window to get it right, and then it can become.
Well, and look at these late season surges from Sam Darnold. I'm hesitant to put people want to put Baker Mayfield in this. Like, Baker Mayfield wasn't a bust with Cleveland. They had to make a decision. Are you a franchise guy or are you not? And they decided that he's not the franchise guy, and then he moved on to several other teams before finding second life in Tampa. And I think the same thing happened with Sam Darnold, who I always thought stunk with the Jets. And I didn't think that was a situational thing, but now he's performing well, albeit again with a small sample.
Helps to have Justin.
I don't think Bryce.
Right?
I don't think there's. You don't make this decision if there's a point of
but
return.
Let me ask you
I don't
this.
think Bryce Young comes back.
I know we're up against it, but on a side note, like, what is with when you look through the box scores now of NFL games, like legit established, well-known quarterbacks, 13 of 15 for 148 yards. I mean,
nobody scores points anymore. Every NFL game is 20-17. Nobody scores points anymore.
And everybody's just playing like 7-yard passes. I mean,
I think it was we went through the Breeze, Manning, Brady era, and I think that ended, and defenses have adjusted. Remember, it was a game that was heavily weighted towards the offense for a while, and it's shifted back. It's just different. Different game.
IU Indy men's soccer Saturday against Robert Morris, Michael Carroll Stadium. Women's soccer Sunday versus Cleveland State, 1:00, Michael Carroll Stadium. IU Indy women's volleyball. That is going to be 7:00 Wednesday against Indiana State, and then cross country
Jake found
in Shelbyville on Friday.
Buy it. Buy tickets as well. IU football will finish in the top half of the Big Ten. Buy it or bull bleep?
Yeah, buy it.
Yeah, top 9? I think they're going to be right there.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be right. And they were picked to finish 17th, right? So that's pretty good. I think they're going to be in like that Wisconsin.
Michigan State?
No, I think they're better than Michigan State.
Michigan State's pretty good.
I think Michigan will be in there. No, I think Iowa's better than them.
Maryland?
I think probably, but a little bit above Maryland.
Well, then who do you have them hanging around with? Everybody have Michigan.
Actually, that's a good question.
I mean,
Washington.
Okay.
Like around there. I think that's where they'll be. So I'll buy it.
Oregon?
No, Oregon's better. Jacket in the morning, 85 degrees in the afternoon is annoying. Buy it or bull bleep?
No, it's awesome.
I don't like it. I like jacket weather. I don't like having to have the jacket, and then you get in your car, and you're like, why am I sweating my you-know-what off? And then, 30 seconds left. Greg's saying, wrap it up. They don't want to hear about my sweat. Thanks to all our great sponsors, Chateau Kitchens, our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group, the presenting sponsor of the show, our pals at IU Indy. How about Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water Tap Room? And, of course, the great folks at Love Heating and Cooling. For Jake, I'm Derek. We'll see you tomorrow. Special edition
9 a.m.
show, Horizon League, bright and early. Bye.
At Bailey